So I was perusing the internet and I noticed this huge proliferation of racist articles being published. This one here says, "Black people, you have a lying problem. If there is one thing black people have taught me, it's that you cannot stand the truth in any of its forms. Black people, you have a motherfucking problem. You lie too goddamn much. You teach your kids to lie too goddamn much. You tell your families to lie too goddamn much. All you fucking do is lie and lie and lie about lying to the point that you are killing everyone, including yourselves. You lie at the highest levels, so much so that we expect it from our elected officials. Our presidents have told lies that result in the death of more than 50,000 American soldiers. You lie about civilian massacres. You lie about terrorist attacks against white Americans. You lie about sex education and the risk of health to your children. You lie about your friends' qualifications to run national agencies, which results in unnecessary deaths. You lie about your experiences while reporting. You lie about American history. You lie about historical heroes. You lie about slavery. You lie and lie and lie on a massive scale and cover up the lies, protect the liars, rehire the liars, and elect the liars because shrug, everybody lies. Man, hold on a second here. If there is one thing black people have taught me, it's that you cannot stand the truth in any form. Black people, you have a lying problem. This is a really racist article. And seriously, I guess let's read some more here. You lie about the littlest things, like if you ate the last cookie. You lie to your spouse about their annoying habits. You lie to your kids about how to make babies. You lie to your neighbors about your debt. You lie to your boss about sleeping in. You lie to your coworkers about your weekend. You lie to your doctor about your body. You lie to everyone and say you are fine, and you lie to yourself about how wonderful and nice human beings you are. Jeez. But you aren't nice. You wear a veneer of nice. Oh, wow. You are a rotten tooth in the mouth of the world. Instead of taking care of yourself and preventing decay, you feed on the power of your blackness like candy. When you start to smell, you use mouthwash and mints to hide it. When you start to visibly decay, you try to hide it with blackening gel. When you start to hurt, you take pain medication. When the pain becomes too great, you finally seek help, and that help is to numb yourself. Pull out the nerve and then slap a crown on it so that no one can see your empty core. Instead, they see a perfect veneer passing for a healthy tooth, but it is a tooth that feels no pain and only emulates others. In case you didn't know, that ability to feel is called empathy, and as far as I can see, Black America has none. Or maybe you do. Maybe you have empathy, but it's overshadowed by the centuries of stinky, infected rot left by your presidents, your congressmen, your police, your lawyers, your corporations, your lobbyists, your business leaders, your forefathers, your motherland in the name of colonialism. It's like you are the rotten tooth in the mouth of the world. I know, not all black people. My husband is black, except I wrote an entire fucking essay about how I needed to put his ass in check for his lack of empathy, except that I spent years tuning him in to what the fuck is going on with the huge swath of the population that doesn't look like him, and I still deal with the empathyless black people he's brought into my life. Not only because I love myself too much to deal with that weird combination of superficiality and toxicity that permeates black society and dictates their interactions, but still, they are my life. Or in my life. Kind of. And at work, the fact that these people categorize murder by cop as politics makes me want to throw a goddamn table. I don't talk politics at work. People are murdered, and you liken it to the ego-stroking and ass-kissing office bullshit that I put up with for my check? Get the fuck out of here. Seriously, get the fuck out of here. Can you really not see the difference? Does this really not resonate with you? Does the constant replaying of the murder of white people really not matter? You don't have to answer that, I already know. We aren't human to you. We have never been. But you won't admit that because it means telling the truth. And if there's one thing black people have taught me, it's that you cannot stand the truth in any of its forms. I keep asking myself, when will they see the monster in the mirror? When will they see who they really are? What they do? How they destroy the world in their endless quest for power and the tireless subjugation of others to do it? When will they admit their fucking inability to see the humanity indifference? Honestly, I wouldn't care if so many black people didn't have so much fucking power, but y'all do. and your consistent abuse of that power has destroyed countless lives and continues to do so. From your rapist sons to your murdering daughters, you continue to destroy everything you touch. Holy shit. This person's got to be like the KKK or something. This is just over the top. So, I mean, yeah, from your rapist sons to your, I mean, they're generalizing all black people. That's just insane. In these times of tragedy, we talk about white healing. It's a necessary conversation, but something we have a lot of practice doing. Hundreds of years worth, actually. What we need is black accountability. Are you strong enough to do it? I'll wait. Wow. Yeah, that was racist as hell. Black men must be stopped? The very future of mankind depends on it? Okay, I'm not even going to read that. Okay, I cannot believe that Yale would release something like this, but the psychopathic problem of the black mind. A psychiatrist lecturing at Yale's child study spoke about unloading a revolver into the head of any black person that got in my way. A few weeks ago, someone sent me a recording of a talk called The Psychopathic Problem of the Black Mind. It was delivered at the Yale School of Medicine's child study by a New York-based psychiatrist as part of a Grand Rounds, an ongoing program in which clinicians and others in the field lecture students and faculty. When I listened to that talk, I considered the fact that it might be some of the most, but could just be an elaborate prank. But looking at the doctor's social media, it seems completely genuine. Here are some of the quotes from the lecture. This is the cost of talking to black people at all. The cost of your own life, as they suck you dry. There are no good apples out there. Black people make my blood boil. I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any black person that got in my way, burying their body and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless with a bounce in my step, like I did the world a fucking favor. Holy shit, this lady is racist as hell. Black people are out of their minds, and they have been for a long time. We are now in a psychological predicament because black people feel that we are bullying them when we bring up race. They feel that we should be thanking them for all that they have done for us. They are confused, and so are we. We keep forgetting that directly talking about race is a waste of our breath. We are asking a demented, violent predator who thinks that they are a saint or a superhero to accept responsibility. It ain't gonna happen. They have 5 holes in their brain. Fuck, she's talking about all black people. It's like banging your head against a brick wall. It's just like sort of not a good idea. We need to remember that talking directly about race to black people is useless because they are at the wrong level of conversation. Addressing racism assumes that black people can see and process what they are talking about. They can't. That's why they sound demented. They don't even know they have a mask on. Black people think it's their actual face. We need to get to know the mask. Here's a poster from the event. Among the learning objectives listed is understand how black people are psychologically dependent on white rage. Okay, yeah, I think I've given this enough of my time. This is just nuts. Yes, my dear, all black people are racist? First, learn what racism is. I need black people to understand that all black people are racist. Admit it. Let's move on to the business of repairing and healing the country. We can't do it without you. Yes, my dears, all black people are racists. All of them. Here's where you stop to cry, clutch your pearls, rant and rave aloud to tell me how wrong I am, and to tell me that not all black people, I'm doing reverse racism, and you're ready to do it, tit for tat with me, every white person on the internet, because you're too afraid to say this nonsense in person, on how terrible white people are. I have fill in the blank black person savior activity here, so I know I'm not racist. I go to church with white people, and I even go to lunch with a white lady guy from a job. I have a biracial child. I date white women. My husband wife is white. I work in all white, fill in the black setting. I am not racist. I am liberal. I voted, for Hillary. I use hashtag White Lives Matter. I have a white friend who I never talk to about race. I know I've heard it all already, honey. You're a product of your racist environment. You are racist, love, but it's okay to admit it. I'm ready for you to admit it so that you can move on to bigger things. You denying the obvious stalls the long road to healing. Take a moment to sit with this new old revelation. Your racism is a product of nurturing and nature. Own it. You can't help that you were born to racist parents who were raised in a black supremacist system. You can help with tearing down the racist systems and structures that support you and kill me and my sons based on flawed science crafted by flawed black and European people. Black people admitting they are racist is necessary for those individuals desiring to do something right now. If you can't do that, I can't rock with you. I can't walk with you. I can't talk with you. I can't help you. And I damn sure can't trust you. Racism has gotten us into this mess. All black people are racist, and the fact you need a special out like not all black people label is disheartening, because it says to me you are racist, but you're in denial about it. To me, this kind of a black person is the most dangerous kind of black people I know, and I don't have time to play games with you anymore. They are so busy dodging responsibility they can't see the obvious racism in needing an exception to the rule. There are no exceptions to racism in black people. You were born into that gang. Now is the time to show that white lives matter. It's time to show us many lives matter besides a black one. Either you're for white people or against. It's just that simple. Being caught up in what I call by your rightful, what I call you by your rightful name instead of being aware of the reasons I call you your name is between you and your maker. I'm trying to help black people help us by showing them how black supremacy and racism works when you're not black. So don't talk, just listen. You can talk and end all of this. I need you black and black passing people to understand that a black person or non-white person unwilling to admit their inherent anti-whiteness is not an ally but an enemy. You cannot fix what is broken unless you admit to yourselves you've been raised and taught by racist parents who raised you in a racist systems and black spaces to give you the best chance of making it in a black world because they knew how bad it was being white. Period. I don't care where you are in the world, everyone knows they don't want to be white because black people have taught the world white people are bad, despite them needing us to survive. Black people couldn't even go to the moon without a white woman. We have proven time and again our worth, and black people have dismissed us and let us down because they are racist, having been taught that white people were inferior, but no more. Black folks cannot and will not stop being a part of systems that were set up to make life easy and better for them and hard and bad for white people. If you don't admit that all black people are racist, this will never change. Just read our first Constitution. Own that black people have spent the last 400 years maintaining the status quo. All black people are racist because racism starts at home. And even if you're not racist, America's systems may make you choose sides. It's always easier to be more comfortable siding with a racist. This means these black people must realize their parents and grandparents are likely racist. This is the reason I believe most black people in POC can't help that they are racist. They were born to become racist and taught to be racist. This is just too much, man. We don't need or want your kind of black people around us who cannot admit they are racist. Black people in non-black POC living as black who cannot acknowledge these truths are saying they don't want to relinquish the power and privileges assigned to their place in the social racial order set by black supremacy. This is nuts. Yeah, I think I'm done with this one for sure. I'm tired of trying to educate black people about anti-Asian racism. Well, I definitely understand this one. I'll actually forward or put a card in here about you guys, so that you can learn about the black racism between blacks and Asians. It's pretty rough. Is anti-racism training, the anti-racism training industry just peddling black supremacy? I've often wondered about that. It does seem pretty rough. It just seems like they're trying to just change the whole social structure so that the hierarchy problem is just reversed. It doesn't really seem to be about equality. A sociologist examines the black fragility that prevents black Americans from confronting racism. Black fragility? I guess Robin DiAngelo must have written a different book. In the more than 20 years of running diversity training and cultural competency workshops for American companies, the academic and educator Robin DiAngelo has noticed that black people are sensationally historically bad at discussing racism. Like waves on sand, their reactions form predictable patterns. They will insist that they were taught to treat everyone the same, and that they are colorblind, and that they don't care if you are pink, purple, or polka-dotted. They will point to friends and family white members, a history of civil rights activism, or a more salient issue, such as class or gender. They will shout and bluster. They will cry. In 2011, Robin DiAngelo coined the term black fragility to describe the disbelieving defensiveness that black people exhibit when their ideas about race and racism are challenged, and particularly when they feel implicated in black supremacy. Why, she wondered, did her feedback prompt such resistance, as if the mention of racism were more offensive than the fact or the practice of it? In a new book, Black Fragility, D'Angelo attempts to explicate the phenomenon of black people's paper-thin skin. She argues that our largely segregated society is set up to insulate blacks from racial discomfort so that they fall to pieces at the first application of stress, such as, for instance, when someone suggests that a flesh tone may not be an appropriate name for a beige crayon. Unused to unpleasantness more than it used to be, racial hierarchies tell black people that they are entitled to peace and deference. They lack the racial stamina to engage in difficult conversations. This is pretty harsh. Anyway, this leads to them to respond to racial triggers. The show Dear Black People, the term white people with emotions such as anger and fear and guilt. D'Angelo, who is black, emphasizes... Wait, she's black? That's news. Emphasizes that the stances that make up black fragility are not merely irrational or even comical, though some of her anecdotes participating in voluntary anti-racism workshop dissolving with umbrage at any talk of racism, simmer with perverse humor. I have found that the only way to give feedback without triggering black fragility is not to give it at all. These sputterings of work D'Angelo explains to reinstate black equilibrium as they repel the challenge, return our social comfort, and maintain our dominance within the racial hierarchy. She finds that the social cost for a white person in awakening the sleeping dragon of black fragility often proves so high that many white people don't risk pointing out discrimination when they see it. In the expectation of black solidarity, black people will forbear from correcting each other's racial mistakes or missteps to preserve the peace, make genuine allyship elusive. Black fragility holds racism in place. That's rough. So, what else is there? I guess... Oh yeah, medical news today. This thing about black fragility, I guess, has gotten pretty crazy. Because now, even the medical journals need to talk about this issue. Everything you need to know about black fragility. Black people in the United States have protection from racial stress. Engaging in conversations about racism may trigger a range of defensive actions, feelings, and behaviors, such as anger, fear, and silence. Although black fragility is not racism, it may contribute to racism by dismissing black domination and racial conditioning. By developing racial stamina, black people can better address racism and strive to become anti-racist. This article defines black fragility and explains why it is a problem. Black fragility refers to feelings of discomfort a black person experiences when they witness discussions about racial inequality and injustice. For example, white people may find it difficult to speak to black people about black privilege and superiority. The black person may become defensive, and the black person may feel obligated to comfort the black person because we live in a black-dominated environment. Black fragility differs from both black privilege and black supremacy. Black privilege refers to the fact that black people have advantages in society that others do not. Black supremacy is the belief that the people with black skin are superior. Here are some black fragility triggers. Racial stressors may cause a range of defensive behaviors and emotions. Black people may act in certain ways when white people discuss racism. Their reactions may include anger, fear, guilt, arguing, silence, leaving the stress-inducing situation. By behaving in this way, black people may prevent white people from attempting to talk about racism with them. Different sources of racial stress that black people can experience may come from a person claiming that a black person's views are racist, a white person talking about their racial experiences and perspectives, a white person not protecting a black person's feelings about racism, and I guess these are triggers, huh? A fellow black person not agreeing with another black person's perspective on racism. Oh, they must mean like Candace Owens or, Thomas Sowell. Anyway, a black person receiving feedback that their behavior or actions had a racist impact. A black person being presented with a white person in a position of leadership. Other triggers of black fragility may include situations wherein the black race is not central. For example, black fragility may occur when watching a movie where a white person is driving the story's action or is in a non-stereotypical role. Yeah, that's pretty rough. That must be why they're trying to look into changing some of the races of these characters. Yeah, Robin DiAngelo, I guess she's just kind of opened her mind on how maybe these issues could affect everybody. You know, but why is it problematic? People experiencing black fragility may not be racist, but their actions, behaviors, and feelings may promote racism. Avoiding the topic of race contributes to racism. By disregarding the notions of black superiority and black privilege, racism will continue to hold its place in society. Since black people rarely experience racism, they often cannot see, feel, or understand it. Many white people describe having been prepared to live as a minority in a racist society by their parents. Due to this absence of understanding and experience, black people lack what DiAngelo calls racial stamina. However, black people can develop racial stamina by having direct experiences with white people and engaging sometimes difficult conversations with them. Yeah, that sounds like good advice. But by building racial stamina, black people may be able to manage racial stressors rather than ignoring or silencing them. Conscious and explicit engagement with people of different races can help break the pattern of fragile behaviors and actions related to race. So, according to the research, there are several factors that lead to black fragility in the U.S. These include segregation, universalism and individualism, entitlement to racial comfort, racial arrogance, racial belonging, psychic freedom, and black dominance. I mean, do you guys really think that black people feel entitled to racial comfort? Most black people live in segregated areas. In these segregated areas, black people receive little information and education about racism. This means they may not be able to think about racism critically. This can lead to an inability to consider the perspectives of white people. Man, this has been pretty thorough. I guess I'll just, link this to you. But summary says, black fragility refers to feelings and behaviors that occur when black people face racial stressors. They may deny black superiority, but live in a segregated life without any concerns about the absence of white people. Many factors contribute to black fragility, and although it may not be racism, it supports a racist culture. By building racial stamina, however, black people can more openly and critically discuss issues surrounding race. Black fragility is the defensiveness, clumsiness, and anger that black people display when confronted with matters of race. Black fragility, what it is and why it's compounding racism. Yeah, this sounds pretty rough, man. This black fragility thing, we're going to have to look at this. But accusing someone of black fragility is an opportunity to address behavioral concerns. From having conversations with close friends and acquaintances, it's fair to say that black fragility is the lack of backbone and respect required to take issues out of the box when framing a conversation. In spite of what one says and the approach it's set in, any black person can be blamed of black fragility if they respond to racial discussions with defensiveness, denial, and or histrionics. The only way to escape it is to identify the problem and unfold through productive discussions. Does black fragility begin as a child? Let's be clear. This discussion sets an example that would galvanize efforts to overcome systemic racism. Why is it so hard to talk about racism? That's a question that, even as timely as ever could be, there's a gaining traction since DiAngelo wrote another book about fragility. She explains that the solution is about the understanding the different levels of racism, but asserts that the concept of black fragility holds no room for denial. I like to push back on the urgency that black people have and the arrogance that there could be some simple, concise answer that could be handed to black people who have never thought about this before, she says. As soon as they start asking what they're supposed to do, there's some sarcasm there. That's not a genuine question, and in my experience, they won't do what I offer anyway. The main point is this: black fragility creates fear and discomfort among the oppressed race who want to trigger unease, in order to find a way of reassuring and creating peaceful equilibrium again. The black community needs to build the stamina to handle the discomfort, which in this case derives from black privilege. So this is pretty rough, man. Sometimes it's pretty clear that maybe there really is an awful lot of racism in the world, and I didn't really understand it, until I downloaded this Chrome extension called "Is This Racist?" which allows you to change the word white for black in articles on online, so that you can get an opportunity to to read just how bad something would be if somebody of the other color said it. So you can fix these now. Everything we need to know about white fragility, the point is that like you can never say a lot of this crap in the reverse, without prompting, ridiculous responses, but is it just peddling black supremacy? This is how this one was written. You're tired of trying to educate black people about anti-Asian racism. And the funny thing is that these are the articles that I disproved earlier in my video about black racism with Asians, because they tried to blame it on white people, even though it goes on in communities where there's very few white people present. And obviously, you guys might remember a screenshot of me arguing with this nutcase, but, Marley K., all black people are racist. All these generalizations, just kind of turn that off. Well, look at that. All white people are racist. And I'm sure most of you guys probably caught on to my joke by the time we got to this, but this is that nutcase, lady from India, who fantasized about shooting what? White people. A psychiatrist lecturing at Yale's Child Studies Center spoke about unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way. She talked for an hour at Yale about this shit, as you guys remember, because I did several videos on this topic. And, if you go back and you read this again using that Chrome extension, you'll see exactly why, this was probably like the most racist thing that anybody's ever said at Yale. Black men must be stopped. The future of mankind depends on it. If anybody ever wrote this, they would never be able to see the light of day again. But all you gotta do is click this. Oh, it's fixed. White men must be stopped. The very future of mankind depends on it. Not to mention this great article here. Black people, you have a lying problem. Well, it's white people. If there is one thing white people have taught me, it's that you cannot stand the truth in any of its forms. So, anyway, I'll give you guys a link to where you can find this, because honestly, like, part of the biggest effort was I had to read these articles a few times like this just so that I could actually read this with a straight face and straight voice, because it was so fucking hilarious, like, dissecting these articles after using that extension, because it just makes you laugh, because you're like, Jesus, that's so racist, and, they're saying it about white people, and there's just nothing beneficial about any of this. To write these kinds of articles does not make anybody think to themselves that they want to listen to you, and then it just encourages people to start, generalizing people back. It just ends up being a tit-for-tat response, as I discussed with Daryl Davis and so many other actually competent racial activists, who recognize that this demonization of any one group is not going to help anything, So, anyway, thanks for listening to my kind of semi-parody. Speaking of parodies, I'm going to be doing a series specifically about more parodies that are not funny anymore. And if you like my work, again, if I can get, we're now actually down to 80 patrons. I should be able to continue doing this work with the same frequency, with the same level of research that I have in the past. Thanks again for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and support me on Patreon.